thing. Anyway, what's up? Welcome back, my Shiplife crew, to the Shiplife podcast, the show that's dedicated to raising awareness of the opportunity of working on cruise ships and helping new and existing crew have an enjoyable experience. Today, I am joined by my lovely wife, and as you can see, today's episode is called "I Met My Wife on a Cruise Ship" because I actually met my wife on a cruise ship. So the purpose of today's episode is so you guys have an idea of how we met. We like telling our story. I like talking about myself.
Yeah, he tells it better than I do.
And also give you guys some expectations on what it's like finding love on the cruise ship, relationships. If you haven't seen the relationship podcast that we did several months ago, definitely check that out. I think we spent about almost 2 hours talking about all different types of relationships, but today we're gonna talk more about ours. I think it's important for people to know the realities of ship life and love and how challenging things can be. So obviously we made it. Obviously.
Yeah.
So we did make it, but
2 years married.
it wasn't. Almost 2 years married. It'll be 2 years this September. But
Almost
yeah,
there. Same thing.
we're getting there. But hey, Tweety, Twesty. Scott, what's up, man? Good to see you.
We're doing good.
So yeah, no, we're doing well. Hope you're doing well, man. So yeah, today we're gonna be talking a little bit about our relationship, and hopefully you guys get some value out of this episode. But I guess to jump right into it, my first contract was at the end of 2015. And it went into the beginning of 2016, and I met you a couple months into my contract, but
Almost the end.
like kind of halfway, but we really started hanging out toward the end. But yeah, I think the cool thing about it was the thing about cruise ships, and everybody has this feeling is that everything's very accelerated on the ship. So even though we only really knew each other for 2 months on the cruise ship, it felt like a year.
Yeah.
I remember specifically 2 weeks after knowing you, I felt like I knew you for like 2 months. So
I think it goes back to that whole thing of you only have certain amount of time to meet people, and to kind of filter out which ones are good, which ones are bad for you.
What's up, Santiago?
So I feel like that's why people don't waste time on, like little play things, or you have to do this because it's supposed to be like that or whatever. So people are more direct.
Yeah, they're very direct on the cruise ship. Well, I don't know if all of them are, but a lot of them are, and I really feel like you should be direct on the ship because there's no time to play around. And
I used to ask you a lot, like, what are your intentions? Every single time.
what are your intentions?
And he was just like, oh well, wherever it goes, it goes.
For those who are listening, she just she she was just putting her hands up like, oh, I don't know. But I don't know. I was just kind of going with the flow, and I know she was as well. So anyway, I always knew you on the ship. I think maybe a couple weeks in, I knew of you, and all the dudes in the band knew who you were. You were the photo gallery chick. And this is something that I talked about on the last podcast with Lacey, is that the thing about the ship is pretty much all the dudes have this like mental roster of who the hot chicks are on the ship. You have this like radar, and you know where they are, and you kind of seek them out during events like crew parties, in crew bar.
embarkation day.
Yeah.
FYI, girls do the same though. Not like
Sure.
not like you guys, but they do have like a little
A little radar.
mental list. Yeah.
A mental list. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree. The if you're not used to women being a little aggressive on the ships, it or being aggressive in general on the ships, again because of the accelerated environment, it's it's a weird feeling sometimes if you're not used to it. But yeah, I did know you. I knew of you, and I would see you walking around the ship, and all the dudes would, every time you see one of the ones that are passing by, you're just like, oh, that's that chick, or that's that chick. Check it out, man. So I would see you at events, and so she was a photographer,
Yeah.
and I would see her at the events all the time, and so I was in the 4-piece jazz band. So she would usually be shooting at the events that I was performing at. So,
I think I met Lacey first.
Lacey was the singer in the jazz band,
Yeah.
and she was kind of our introduction to each other.
Yeah. Lacey was always very friendly. She was like the girl to talk to, because she was always very friendly to everybody, the same. And yeah, I think we're here
Because of Lacey.
because of Lacey.
She introduced us to each other, kind of. But so the way it happened when we originally met each other, it was at a party.
Mm-hmm.
And
I almost didn't go to that party.
you almost didn't go to that party.
No.
Well, that's right, because your friends dragged you out of your cabin.
Yeah.
And that's also how it kind of happens on the ship. There's I would say there's always something happening.
Oh yeah.
There's always
Yeah.
something happening on the ship, and so you kind of get burned out pretty quickly if you're not used to partying like every day, or not even partying per se, but just hanging out with your friends. So sometimes you don't really want to hang out, and then you end up in a situation where your friends make you hang out. If you guys have ever been lived in dorms, then you pretty much have an idea of what it's like. Because the living quarters they're so cramped, and you're always next to somebody, and they know where you live, so they can easily walk down the hall and knock on your door and bother you, and
Or just open the doors and we have like a hallway party.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, you had the shared cabin,
Yeah. We shared bathroom.
right.
We had like a little closet as a cabin
Yeah.
like this.
So
But-
so you guys would just open the doors, and it would turn
Mm.
into one big room.
Yeah, that was fun. I think once we managed to get like 18 people inside. I don't know how, but it was
Yeah.
fun.
Sardines in a tin can.
Mm-hmm.
So we met at the at I think it was the New Year's
Yeah.
party. So at the New Year's party, we being myself, the guitarist, and the drummer, we all saw you, and my buddy Josh, he pointed you out,
Josh.
and he said, "Oh, that's the photo gallery chick." Or actually, it was the photo gallery babe. But he pointed you out, and so he was my roommate at the time, and he said, so he pointed you out, and so I said, okay, I'm gonna go talk to her. My intention at that moment was to talk to you, and then get you comfortable with me, so that I could introduce you to Josh.
That's like a whole other level movie thing.
Yeah. So we ended up dancing for like 45 minutes, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And we're having a great time. And that's a long time for an introduction. But eventually, I was a couple drinks in, so I kind of lost track of time. But eventually, I saw Josh on the sidelines kind of just sipping his drink and
That's
standing
right.
there a little awkwardly, and that's when I kind of pulled you to the side,
Uh-huh.
and I tried to introduce you to Josh, and so I said, "Have you met my friend Josh? He's an excellent dancer." And in that moment, he was like a deer in headlights, and he didn't know what to do, and so he kind of just blankly looked, and I at that
Turn
moment,
away.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I just kept dancing. I kept dancing with her.
I didn't think much of it. I just wanted to have fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Uh,
you were clearly having a lot of fun.
oh, clearly.
But yeah, so after that, we kept dancing, and I think we were dancing for about maybe 2 hours or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything shut down around 2 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And after everything shut down, you said you were going to go back to your cabin. Well, actually, I said, so what are you going to do now? And usually what happens after that is people have the cabin parties, and
Yeah.
there's like an after party until, 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m., at least for the people who don't have work the next morning,
Mm.
who don't have to wake up early. I didn't know her schedule at that point, and I was still pretty new to ships. I had only been on the ship for a couple months, so I still didn't really have the mindset that there are other people on the ship who physically work harder than others. So I don't know. Like I was just in my own little bubble.
Yeah.
Considering that musicians, they only perform for like 3 to 4 hours a day, and they actually do get days off.
Oh my goodness! When I found out your schedule, I was jealous, pissed, and I don't know. But I was like, oh, how can that be? Like you just woke up at 11,
Yeah.
go and eat, and then I was super envious of that. But
Good morning. Morning over there in England.
oh hi.
I think what do you
Buenos
guys like
dias.
14 hours ahead or something?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So that's when I asked in that moment. I said, what are you gonna do now? What are your plans? And then you said,
I'm going to my room.
yeah, go to my room. And then in that moment, I thought to myself, I was gonna ask, like, can I come? But I felt like that might have been a little forward.
Didn't you ask? Oh, that was the second part.
No, that was later on. But yeah, that's basically
Okay.
how we met, and it was a very uneventful evening in terms of like what happened afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a kind of a Cinderella thing.
Yeah.
We met each other, had a great time, and then she like ran off. "Nah, I'm going back to my cabin." Oh, I think that's what I said. By yourself? And then you said, yeah. By going back by yourself? Yes, by myself.
FYI, I wasn't playing any like hard to get or anything. It was just like I value my sleep. If you work on ship, if you would understand. Sleep comes above everything.
Yeah, agreed. What's up, Daily Jeeper? Let's see. My first girlfriend was a photographer from China. I met at a crew party the first month as a new hire. Didn't work out because I was transferred a month later.
Oh.
Javier, what's up, man? From Mexico, huh?
Mm.
Same time zone. That's cool, man. That's pretty funny that you on your first contract you also dated
Yeah.
a photographer. That's too bad you got transferred. Could have been the love of your life.
I mean,
But-
it is hard to maintain a relationship when you're both on different ships.
Right.
I feel like it's kind of easier when it's somebody on land
Mm-hmm.
than both on ships. Because
Right.
when you were on a ship and I was on a ship and you're like in Asia, I
Mhm.
think.
Yeah, I was in Asia and you were in the Mediterranean.
Oh my God, yes. That was a very
Or
expensive
Caribbean, I can't remember. But yeah,
cruise.
yeah, that was expensive. So anyway, going back to the story. So what happened was, after that, I couldn't get her off of my mind because we had such a great time.
Impact.
Yeah, the impact. But I wasn't really sure how to proceed because, I originally was trying to introduce her to Josh. So, what I tried to do now was, I don't know, I thought about it for a little bit, and long story short, I decided I'm going to pursue this. So, I wanted to figure out the right way to pursue her without being too forward, because I also noticed that she was always busy. So she was always doing something. Anyway, so I started being a super creep. But I don't like to think about it that way. I would walk past the photo gallery and I would find out her schedule. So I would essentially find out when the photo gallery closed, which was 11 o'clock every night. And once I knew that the photo gallery was closed at 11 o'clock, all right, so she must be done working, give or take 11:30, 12 o'clock, whatever. So I would always walk by the photo gallery and just make sure that that's what the actual time was. And then I would also see when you were out and about, kind of walking around the gallery.
You're a hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember where I read that there's several types of men, and you can notice by the way they approach the women. And it just reminded me so much of you, because like you did all of that. And it's like very, I don't want to say calculating, because then that would be like very you, like the show.
Sure.
But you know, like you made your homework and kind of like consistently went after the prey. Not saying like I'm the prey.
Yeah, basically in this story.
But yeah.
Yeah. So I mean I agree, and that is my approach to life. I kind of just, if I feel like if I want it, then I'll get it, and if I don't get it, I just convince myself I don't want it. so that's kind of
right.
So yeah, after learning all of that stuff, I think eventually I went up to you in the photo gallery, and I start talking to you in the photo gallery?
It was in one of my shifts. I remember being nervous because you were there, and I was attending. Was it that time when I was attending?
No, that was a different time, I think.
It was about to close?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. So I came up and I said hi.
Oh, I remember your bow tie that night.
Uh-huh.
I liked your bow tie.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that was, you're like, oh, this guy again. Okay. Hi. I thought you just wanted to be friends.
Well, sure, that's the first step. But yeah, so my strategy, if you will, at that moment was to try to hang out with her. So I remember getting into a conversation with her, and I was asking, so what do you do, and where you hang out, and do you go to Crew Bar, do you go to Mingles? Mingles is kind of like Crew Bar, but it's the more relaxed version.
Yeah, you get, that's the one that we buy stuff, right? Mingles?
Yeah, they had the little shop in there.
Yeah.
So I asked her if she would hang out over there, because that would be the number one spot that my friends and I would hang out, and we would just go there before work, after work, whatever, have a few drinks. And so that's when I found out that she doesn't do anything, nothing. And
well, but by that time, that was already my second. Was it my second contract? Yeah, that was already my second contract, almost like halfway.
Yeah.
So all my party thing got used on my first contract, and
Yeah.
I was like, and also I got like more responsibilities, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was again sleeping. Most important thing ever on ships.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So that's when I met you,
Yeah.
and you basically didn't do very much. And so that's when I asked. I said, "So what do you like to do? This, and this." And then I ended up asking you if we want to watch a movie. Like, do you like watching movies? And I remember you said yes, you like watching movies. So I said, hey, do you want to watch? The first movie that came to my head was Dewey Cox, Walk Hard. What's up, Rachel? Good to see you. So yeah, I asked if you want to watch Dewey Cox, and then you said, yeah, sure. And I said, cool. So did you want to watch it in your cabin or mine? So that's the question that I feel like you weren't prepared for. And then so what was it? What you said you'd come to my cabin.
Was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Did it? No, I don't think.
Or was it your cabin?
I think it was my cabin.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
Because then after that didn't happen. I couldn't. I was stuck in work until late,
Yeah.
and then like a week after, then
Well, you're moving too fast here.
Okay.
because so here's what happened. So I asked her if she wants to watch a movie, and then I said your cabin or mine, and she said her cabin. So I said okay, cool. We scheduled it for, I think it was that same evening, or whatever, maybe Thursday or something, and so I said cool. About what time? And I think we said 11:30, 11:45, something like that. I was really excited that evening because I thought to myself, all right, cool. You can probably imagine why I was excited. I was going to hang out with this chick in her room watching a movie. So I was excited. Anyway, so that evening I was really excited, and I was hanging out with the boys because I was done with work around like 10:30, 11 o'clock, or something like that. And 11:30 hits. When 11:30 hits, I'm like, all right, I gotta go back to my cabin, be by the phone, because she's gonna call me. I'm at my cabin. It's 11:30, nothing. So I start listening to some music. It's like 11:35, 11:40. Ah, crap, she's not gonna call me. So I went back to hang out with the boys, and then I went back around 12 o'clock just to see if I missed any messages. Nothing. And I thought to myself, this sucks, man. She completely blew me off, or like maybe she didn't actually want to hang out with me.
I wouldn't do that. I would tell you.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't really know you that well, so.
Oh, right. That's the night that I went to your room.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I go back to hang out with the guys, which was just 2 doors over, and then I went back, I think around like 12:30, to my cabin, because I think I had this feeling I should go back and check. Watching movie is basically want to get some noodles in my yes, noodles in my cabin. That's right. For those of you who don't know, the noodles is kind of a staple to have in your room because nothing's open after the shop closes around like 2, or well, it depends on some ships. But anyway, once the shop is closed, all food is pretty much done unless you know somebody in the mafia. So, but what they will have is like little containers for noodles, and you can go to the mess and pour hot water in it, and that is now your your meal.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what happened was I had this inkling I should go back to my cabin and I should see. And when I went back there around 12:30, sure enough, the little light was on, and I was like, oh crap, I missed the message. So I heard the message, and it was the message was basically like, oh, so sorry that I had to stay at work later, and but maybe we can do this some other time, whatever. So I called immediately because it has to happen now. So when I called, she was there, and I said, hey, how's it going? Like, oh, sorry you got stuck at work, but anyway, do you still want to watch that movie? And she said, no, I got to get up at 8 or 7 or whatever. And so I said, oh, okay, well, do you want to come by my cabin? I forgot what it was, but I invited you to my cabin, and you said sure. I've never seen.
Yeah, it was. I think I can't remember. You did that whole salesman thing.
I did a lot of those.
Yes. And I can't remember either, but yeah, at that point I never seen another cabin other than mine and the photographer's. So
she was interested.
I was
in my cabin.
Yeah, in the cabin. I wanted to see like how far good you had it. So that I said yes. And
did I come get you, or did I just tell you where my cabin was?
I think we met halfway.
Okay.
Because you were in those cabins where are they're like in between. It's like super weird. There's cabins in the middle. I think so. So you have to go like.
Yeah, you got to kind of go around.
Yeah.
And then, if you guys have ever been on the ship before, there are certain sections where it all just looks the same. So if you're brand new to the cruise ship, or even if you're not brand new, sometimes it's really
lost.
it's really easy to get lost.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she came. So we met each other on the gangway on the main hallway, the I-95. And I met her there, and I walked her back to my cabin. As I'm
And he was hiding me from his friends.
well, I was hiding you from
Remember?
my friends because I knew they were all gonna make fun of me. Because
Yeah, but like I didn't like. I thought I don't know.
can any of you guys relate? I mean, you take if you're taking a girl to your cabin, everybody knows kind of what's up, or they're suspecting. So then you get like the laughs or the eyes, and sometimes you get your friends who just want to call you out. So I didn't want that to happen as I'm like escorting you toward my cabin. So
I just wanted to see the room.
well, yeah. But anyway, so you came to my cabin, right? So she was in
Yes.
my cabin, and so she's just kind of looking around, just admiring. Oh, this is, it's a nice cabin. It's big because it's a double.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started showing her some of my electronics or whatever. Like, here's my Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah.
And, so then she sat on my bed. And then that's when I started to get nervous. 'Cause I was like, oh, man, there's a girl on my bed. All right, what's the game plan? I
It
don't know.
kind of felt like high school.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was like, because your whole aura changed once we sat down,
Mm-hmm.
and then it went a little bit of silence, and,
Mhm.
and then I kind of got it. It's like, oh wait, oh you think, oh,
Yeah, but you
And-
didn't do anything though. You kept sitting there.
well that's why, because I wasn't,
You
For
didn't give
me-
you didn't give me body language that
exactly, but you did.
what?
'Kay.
No, I'm saying you didn't give me body language that you were uncomfortable.
Well, I know. I didn't want to make you uncomfortable because I'm uncomfortable.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for that.
It's more fun that way.
Yeah.
You have more control. Ladies, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
So yeah, after maybe about 15 minutes of like awkwardness, man, it was so awkward. And again, I'm sure some of you can relate. One of those situations like, should I do it? Should I make some kind of move? What kind of move should I make? Anyway, nothing happened. And then she was like, all right,
This
well,
one.
I guess, yeah, that one, the classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that didn't happen.
No.
So she said, yeah, well, I gotta go. And I said, I did the whole, oh, yeah, for sure. I don't want you to be late. So I escorted her back to her cabin. And after escorting her back to her cabin, we said our goodbyes and whatever. I said, okay, good night. Yeah, just so awkwardly. And then she closed the door. And I just remember walking back down the I-95 thinking, stupid. So dumb. Like, why didn't I make some kind of move? But as I'm walking down the I-95, I was thinking to myself, what is the worst that could happen? I'm going to go and be truthful and say what's on my mind. So I turned back and I went back to her door and I was going to knock, but I stood in front of the door for a second, trying to take a breath. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. And so I had this whole thing planned out. Well, it was really just kind of like one sentence. Anyway, I knocked on the door. She opened it, and she like half awakenedly opened the door. Huh? And I said, I just wanted to tell you because if I know that if I didn't tell you this, that I'd be kicking myself later. But I really wanted to tell you that I was looking forward to kissing you this evening. And if I didn't tell you this, then I would be kicking myself. So I wanted to know if the feeling was mutual. And in that moment, she was like, oh, so she didn't really quite know what to say,
Yeah.
but she didn't say the feeling wasn't mutual. So I took that as,
Didn't
all
say.
right, you're not quite saying yes, but it's not a no.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
That knock on the door really changed the flow of the future relationship for me, because I've never had it kind of felt like a movie kind of a thing, like I never expect that, and that kind of opened my eyes to, okay, so this guy clearly is interested in clearly making himself known. And I just appreciate, how
How I knocked on the door so gracefully.
I wish I could see that see
The
like
people.
yeah, but like it's not easy to fight your own mental blocks,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to talking to somebody that you like.
I was a little drunk too. That helped.
That always helps. Yeah.
Some liquid courage.
Yeah. So I really appreciate it. After that, I feel like that was the thing that made me see you,
Mm-hmm.
with a different light.
It was the that movie with Matt Damon. I think it's We Bought a Zoo, and I think he says all it takes is 5 seconds of courage, or something like that. Or he said something where it's one of those movies where he counts to 5 and then he does it. He gives himself 5 seconds to be a wimp or something like that. Regardless, the point is,
Okay.
just I got it out there.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was going to happen, but I accepted both outcomes, regardless of what they were. So I knew that there was the possibility that she would say, "Yeah, no, you completely misread this," and I was ready for that. But I was also ready for, heck yes, the feeling is mutual. The two ends of the spectrum.
Not quite.
Yeah, not quite. But, in that moment, she said, right now is not such a good time.
I just finished a relationship with another person, and then you came, like,
literally,
in that, in like that awkward stage where you're still kind of friends, but you still like hate him, kind of a deal. But yeah, I think the timing was good. Confidence goes a long way.
Confidence is universally attractive. Don't forget that, guys and women. So anyway, she basically told me not right now, and I said, I totally respect that. I just wanted to let you know. So now you know. Have a good night. And I went back to my cabin, and when I went back to my cabin, all the dudes, there were like 3 guys in there, and they were like, how'd it go? And I told them, I said, well, this is what happened, and then I doubled back, and I said this, and they were looking at me like, dude, you screwed up. And I looked at them like, yeah, no, I messed that up. I don't know.
Well, you
whatever.
did something right.
Let's drink, boys. And so we drank. Anyway, the cool thing though is that over the next few weeks, I would pass by and I'd say hi to her in the photo gallery, and we would get to talking a little bit. And eventually, since I remembered where your cabin is, I think we tried to watch the movie, and we did actually.
Yeah, I think
respectfully.
We did it we divided the movie
in 2 parts. Yeah,
because I had to go to bed.
Well, the other in that time we ended up having long conversations with each other.
Yeah.
And another one of those things that I'm sure you guys could relate to as well. Sometimes you just click with somebody. You end up talking with them for like 4 hours. Some of you are old enough to remember talking on the phone with somebody for like 6 hours straight. You have to grab the phone and take it with a long cord to your room, and you're just and you're just kind of, you're not even doing anything, you're just breathing on. Anyway.
It wasn't
just me?
like that.
No one else?
But that was very refreshing though, having somebody to talk about everything and anything, and just being that vulnerable.
That's a terrible word for you.
I know, I never can say
Vulnerable.
it. Vulnerable.
Yeah. We get it.
Vulnerable.
For those of you who don't know, she's not from here. She's from Honduras. Jinx.
Oh, you can't
Yeah,
see it.
we both have a
You can't really
your
see
your
it.
flag. Yeah, you can't really see it. Anyway, what was this? Oh yeah, so we would talk a lot.
Yeah, we were talking refreshing. Talk a lot.
But I think every time we talked in your cabin, it was it would come up again that, like, I still really want to kiss you.
Yeah.
And
that's why I always ask you, like, what are your intentions?
Told you I want to kiss you.
No, you didn't say that. He didn't say that.
No, I don't know. Oh, that's right. That's right.
You were playing
I'm
that douche saying.
No.
Yes. You're like, oh, like, well, let's just do a thing where we're good right now and let's see where it takes us. You know, if one thing goes to another.
The douchey thing?
The thing.
I was being honest.
Yeah, right. Not quite.
Whatever.
You whatever.
But, so yeah. That would always come up, and you know, I would ask you if you, you know, if I could kiss you, and then you'd say, probably not right now, and I'd say that's totally fine, because I know it's gonna happen eventually.
Yeah.
Just gotta play your cards right, gentlemen. So, and then we started hanging out more and more and more and more. We would go to parties together. We'd get to know each other's friends, which is another really important step in the relationship. I would get to know your friends, and and then we get to see each other with our hair down, kind of, you know, so to speak. You know, how you act with people that you're also comfortable with, and how I act with people I'm comfortable with. Yeah, so that was cool. There was one evening where we went to a crew party, and then we went up there, and
this is when we went to deck 6.
Deck 6. Yeah.
What did I say?
No, this isn't deck 6. This is deck 14. This was like on the top of the ship.
Oh, the full moon night.
Yeah, so it was like a full moon, and we were dancing, and your friends were buying you drinks. Anyway, at the end of the evening,
he got jealous.
Yeah, I did, because of the, you know why? It's because at the end of the evening, one of your friends from the it was a guy. It was Nicola. And
I love you, Nicola.
He escorted you back to your room, and I thought to myself, but I picked you up from your room. That's like another guy taking you home. So, you know, it's like I drove you to the party, and now another guy's driving you home. So that's how I felt. And then I kind of got lost in the shuffle when you guys left the elevator.
I feel like that's what happened. It's not like his cabin is by my cabin. It was by my cabin.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, I didn't know that.
But, you know, it was just funny to me the way you reacted. And that's the party you were already there by my cabin. Remember? Like, I came down, and then I went to my cabin, and then you were already standing in front of my door.
Yeah. When you got back.
Yeah, now that I say it is kind of creepy, but.
So what happened there was that the party ended, and then we got out of the elevator because we were all together, my friends, her friends, but in the shuffle, she ended up leaving with her friend Nicola, and I was like, I couldn't catch up because I was behind everybody, and I was like, what is happening right now? I'm supposed to take you back over there. Anyway,
too slow.
Yeah. So, but I know where your cabin is. So when I went to your cabin, because I wanted to meet you there.
Okay.
But that's why I ended up being there before you did, because I literally knocked on the door and I was like, oh, I turn around and then there you are. So that's why I was there before you. I wasn't actually trying to beat you to your cabin, but I ended up getting there before you did. Anyway, when we got into her cabin, she just fell asleep on the bed.
Yes, I fall asleep.
I didn't know that at the time, but so I just thought she was just so tired and she just fell asleep.
I was tired though, but I wanted to see what he did.
Yeah, so she put me to the test, and
one of many.
Yeah, one of many. So I basically just tucked her in. I think I kissed you.
Yeah, on the forehead.
Did I?
Yeah, he kissed me on the forehead. And he said good night.
Yeah, and then I just left.
And I was like, oh, that's sweet. Okay. I just went to bed.
So yeah. Anyway, so a lot of that stuff happened, and then the end of the contract came. At the end of the contract, that's when we had to start making some decisions about, you know, what this is and so on, because obviously it can't be perfect forever. You know, you're on the cruise ship and everything's great because you're so close to each other, and
it's kind of like a bubble, you know. It's
very much a bubble.
I remember my first contract. One of my seniors, he told me, don't get comfortable with ship life because it is a bubble. So once that contract ends, you go to real life, and then you know. So like that's why I wanted you to come home
Mm-hmm.
towards my country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I invited you for your birthday for a weekend
Mm-hmm.
because my contract ended a week after yours, I think.
Something like yeah, that's
something
right.
like that. So you were already home like 2 weeks or something.
Well, we talked about it a little bit on the ship too, right? So when after a while you get comfortable and we start trying to play around with the idea, like, so how's this gonna work?
Yeah.
Because at some point she was kind of saying, like, well, I guess this is just gonna be a really nice memory, but I wasn't comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want this to be just a little fling, because that's not what it ended up turning out to be for me.
Yeah.
So
for me, it was because you're from the U.S.
mm-hmm.
and like in my head, it's like, okay, so he probably I'm never gonna see him again, but I was already prepared to just let you go and just have like that. Like I genuinely thought it was just gonna be a good story.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, okay, so I
Now
met
it's an
this
even
person.
better story.
Now we have a better story.
But yeah, we would talk, and she would say, like, would you want to come visit? And I'd say, yeah, absolutely, I'll come visit. And vice versa. I said, what about you? Do you want to come visit? And she said, yeah. But again, in the moment, it's easy to say.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I got home, started making some plans.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got home, I think I got home like the beginning of April. Yeah, I was home for 2 weeks. And then we set up a a time for me to come down there, and my birthday is April 13th, so I flew out on the 12th.
Yeah.
And I came for the weekend.
Yeah.
So I went down there and I hung out with her and her family, and it was great. And then we set up a flight for her to come over here, and she spent 2 weeks over here.
It seemed a lot more real. I was still kind of skeptical though.
Why?
Because it was still we were still kind of like in that stage of novelty.
Mm.
It kind of felt, well, at least when you came to Honduras.
The honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so let's see when I go to your country. So in the end, it ended up working out,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to know each other's family and how we are in the real life.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important. So if you're gonna invest on somebody on the ship, might as well do it the whole way through.
Yeah.
Don't go half-assies.
Yeah.
That's how you say it?
Well, don't half-ass it, but sure.
That thing.
Well, we can go with your phrase. Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, if that is your goal and your intention to get to know somebody, really get to know them, because, like she said, working on a cruise ship, it's a big bubble, and somebody on the ship could be somebody totally different when they're back home.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what was great is that we quickly jumped into, I'm going to come visit you. So I visited her for 2.5 days in her hometown, and then she came out and visited me for 2 weeks out here. Luckily, she also had a tourist visa, so that was great. So we got to see each other in our natural habitats.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Natural habitat. What happened?
Thank you. It's Sinead. Am I saying that right?
Who?
Sinead. And then Emil, what's up, man? For those who relationship on land. Oh, so is cheating normal? Well,
Yes.
Unfortunately. It happens a lot.
It depends. Like cheating happens a lot on ships because one,
You're disconnected.
You're disconnected with your couple. Because I've seen couples where they're like, they're very, you know, devoted to that person. They're like, they're so not in that zone anymore where they want to just meet people and just do her, do him, do that, do the other.
What do you mean? Like, they're devoted to the relationship, and they've secluded themselves from everyone else now. It's just
like
you and the other person.
they know who they want, who they, you know, and that helps a lot. I feel like a relationship starts to not go well when they're divided. Like when somebody's on land and the other one on ships, is when they already, it's not a strong relationship, I guess. When it's there's already flaws.
Right. Well,
you know,
so
and then
I think what you're getting at is, it kind of, what this really is it's kind of like this kind of exposes who you really are and what the relationship really is. Because, you know, you think about it, and I've met a lot of people on ships before, and I remember when I first hopped on ships, sometimes you'd even see officers where they'd have their wife on the ship, and then the wife is gone, and then all of a sudden they're in crew bar hitting on some dancer or something. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And Daily Jeeper saying, I think the opportunity to cheat is more common on the ship. Yes. Yeah, the opportunity is definitely there. And again, it's from that detachment.
Yeah. Also, you have to consider the ship is super lonely and stressful. And even though it doesn't mean that that's whoever cheats is a bad person. You know, it just means that your backbone and your, how do you call it, that person who could, I don't know how to say it.
Well, I think that's going to be an interesting take for some people, because, well, you know, the idea that it's not always black and white when it comes to cheating.
Exactly.
And this is not to say that if somebody cheats that they're always a bad person or they're always a good person. But I think what happens a lot of the time when it comes to cheating as well is that people kind of get wrapped up in, you did this, therefore you're bad.
Yeah. Versus
kind of looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
You know, for example, like, if somebody, we're going to stick to cruise ships for using the example here, but, you know, somebody goes on a cruise and then they realize, like, oh, you know, there's a lot more, I'm expanding my horizons here, I'm meeting new people, and back home, kind of like what you were saying, is that you wouldn't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
If you're living with your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, you may not necessarily have the opportunity to meet a bunch of different people, and so you kind of just get stuck in this relationship. And so now you're in this weird situation where it's like, you know, maybe you do have kind of wandering eyes, but I'm loyal, and then now you have this opportunity, like, away from your spouse or your significant other, and your eyes have been opened.
In a way, you kind of find yourself on ships, because what you used to like and do on land, you end up finding out on ships that, oh, that was dumb, because like we mentioned before, like, there's no time for bullshit on ships. So you are you yourself and you. So you discover what are all your flaws, what are your strengths. You grow up so fast mentally and physically and spiritually, I guess. Like,
physically for some people.
True. But that makes that's why you grow apart from that person on ships. It's especially if she or he doesn't understand that the different hours or the struggle you have to go through to communicate back home. I feel like that's one of the biggest not flaws, but challenges that people on land needs to understand, because it even happened to me and my friends and my family members. They kept wanting me to call them all the time, and it's like, one, it's fucking expensive. Two, for me to get out and find a good internet coffee place that internet worked, actually, that was hard as well. And also I had to make the time either to go out or just stay and sleep.
Yeah. So
you have to kind of communicate that to your significant other on land very clearly, that there are going to be times where only once a week.
Right. Well, going back to the idea of cheating is that, with these challenges, it really does expose what kind of relationship that you have, because of it's an extra test for both people in the relationship. So again, just going back to the original question here, does it happen a lot? Yeah, it happens a lot. Let's see, what are your takes on whatever happens on the ship stays on the ship? Is this true? That's another good question. Whatever happens on the ship stays on the ship.
I guess.
Well, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Again, it really depends. Sticking to the whole relationship aspect of it, so if you do end up cheating on the ship, and then that happens, and then you leave it on the ship, well, yeah, I think it is very true, because it's really easy for it to just stay on the ship, because whoever you hook up with is probably going to be from a different country.
Yeah, and you're never going to see again.
Yeah, you're probably never going to see them again, unless you plan on working on ships for a while, and then you probably will see this person on ships. But again, like, working on the ship, it's a bubble, and it's a whole other life that you get to live. It's like a second life.
It is a second life.
That you can detach from being at home. And if you're the average vacation between contracts is like 1 to 2 months, so you could very easily, like, you live on the ship essentially, and you vacation at home, and that's why I call it a vacation. So thank you, Emil, and I hope you're getting some value out of this.
What I can't say. I can see.
I know it's hard to read because it's like farther over there. But yeah, I hope you're getting some value out of these answers. And for the rest of you as well, if you got some questions, drop them down in the chat. But yeah, going back to something you were saying before, though, in terms of the communication, I think one of the keys to really making a relationship work on, whether it's both of you guys on cruise ships or it's one of you guys on cruise ships, with social media, might not stay. Yeah, that's true. So Daily Jeeper is saying that with social media, it may not stay in the ship forever. That is definitely something that you have to be careful of. If this is something that you plan on doing, is that no matter what, there's always going to be like photographers and people taking pictures and stuff like that. So those things can definitely come back with you. But if you do things right, you could have it stay on the ship. I don't know. Just food for thought. But in terms of making sure that you're communicating with the person, it's really just setting up the expectations properly. So this is another thing for new people. If you're brand new to working on cruise ships and you have a significant other, or you talk with family a lot, one thing that may happen is you're going to hop on the ship and then all of a sudden realize that communicating with the outside world is not as easy as you may have thought. And some of the people back home, if not most of them, they may not realize how difficult it is. What's up, Guillermo? Greetings from Argentina.
Ooh,
hey, what's up? So it's important for you to know that communication can be tough, so that you can set that expectation with the people that you know, with the people that you love. So I've known some people that have had really rocky relationships, and they're like walking around depressed on the ship because they're saying like, oh, my girlfriend's mad at me because she thinks that I'm purposely avoiding her when it's
Yeah.
like, dude, internet's expensive, and you don't, even if you have internet, sometimes it just won't connect properly. And then
It's such a pain in the butt, and it's just even more depressing knowing that you're expected to do something and then you want to do it, but it doesn't work out because of other stuff. And then when you finally get that person on the phone, just the first thing is like, why you don't call me?
well,
Or
either
like,
that or they're just like pissed.
yeah,
you know.
so that's why I'm like, if it's gonna be your first contract, you have somebody, tell them what's up,
Hmm.
or just take a break.
Yeah,
With
literally
that
tell them like, look, we're probably only going to be able to talk once a month,
Yeah.
and set the expectations low. That way, if you are able to talk more often than that, you get to the ship and realize, oh, this ship actually has pretty good internet.
Yeah.
Or like the ports that you go to, there's some pretty good cafes.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing about when you, for example, going to cafes, is that if you're brand new to the cruise ships and all these ports are new to you, hopping into a cafe and spending all of your time in a cafe to talk to a significant other may not be on the top of the list as well.
There's when you never been to Rome or Santorini, why are you gonna spend time in a freaking cafe?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe that is a priority of yours, but
Yeah.
like some of
But
these ports are
first
difficult
contract,
to access. Yeah,
yeah.
first contract. Because you knew a guy like that. I knew a couple people like that, where, again, they were depressed on the ship and like they were like almost crying and talking about like, so and so, they think I'm cheating on them, or they don't trust me. They so and so thinks I'm always with a girl or a guy,
Yeah.
because it's just so hard for them to communicate. But then this is also comes back to the whole communicating with your significant other, and being able to talk with them about these things.
Yeah.
So if you've got a significant other that can't handle not talking to you for like 3 days or something like that, that's a whole other story.
Yeah. This is not saying that also there are relationships that they do work out because of they're more determined. I guess we're not trying to say just
Break it off.
yeah, exactly, because when that person is worth it. I guess what we're trying to say is that if it's a new relationship, if it's
Set it up right so that you have the chance of surviving.
Yeah.
And what's up, Alex? Alex from Florida. Thank you for your support. Really
Ooh.
appreciate you. But yeah, give yourself,
yeah.
for you and your partner, again, working on the cruise ships, whether it's you both on the ship or someone's at home, you want to set up the communication and the expectations so that you know what to expect.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where a lot of relationships fail on the cruise ship, is that they just had no idea what the expectations were, or their expectations were just wrong, completely wrong. We even went through, like, after being with each other for like 2 years, the last contract that she was on, it started off where we were both on cruise ships.
Yeah.
I was in Japan, Southeast Asia, while she was in the Mediterranean. So the time difference was kind of sucky. So like, I would always joke around. You guys probably already know at this point, I would wake up at like 11, but I would have to get up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning to talk to her. And so, but that doesn't mean that I changed my party schedule.
Yeah.
So all this meant was that maybe I'm done partying at like 3 or 4 and I got to wake up in 2 hours so I can hop on the phone so I can get in my daily call.
Yeah. You just have to both adjust and communicate. So that's the thing.
So, I mean, I think that's the number one tip that we would give for couples. And that's also how you can kind of avoid the temptation of cheating on the cruise ships, because I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand. If you're so for example, if I was back home and she was on the cruise ship, if all I was doing was just giving her a hard time about you're not communicating with me and I'm just making her feel like the worst spouse ever, well, how easy is it for her to end up talking to somebody on the ship who makes her feel good about herself?
Yeah.
And then what do you expect to happen?
I think you mentioned once about the only person who knows what
you're going through.
What you're going through is your significant other.
Right. Is when it comes to working on cruise ships and the heartache that comes along with it. The only other person who knows what you're going through 100% is your significant other, whether they're on land or on another cruise ship. So the best way to deal with it is to talk to that person. Let's see what Guillermo's saying. Let's see. I get this job, got recreation staff on NCL because the salary would be like 4 times normal here than a regular job. And here I have a baby and a wife. Oh, so what Guillermo's saying is that he got a job on NCL as recreation staff, you're taking the job, I'm assuming, because it's about 4 times the salary of what you would make back home, and you have a baby and a wife back home. This kind of leads into the whole they underpay people. I know there's a lot of discussion on this right now, but when it comes down to it, sure, Guillermo, I'm assuming that your salary is probably somewhere around $1,500 to $1,800 per month. If you're comfortable, maybe you can put it. If you're not comfortable, don't worry. But we'll get off the salary subject because I really want to stick to the relationship part. Yeah. Is that what are your thoughts? He's got a wife and a baby back home.
Yeah, you have to do what you have to do.
You gotta do what you got, especially coming from. I mean, I don't know what part of Argentina you're from. Her hometown it's essentially a third world country. What is it? $1,200 per month.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing, Guillermo. So Guillermo is going to make $1,200 per month, which means back home, again, divided by 4, that means your average salary is $300 per month back home. And then some people still really think that the ships underpay you, which maybe, but at the same time, it's still a really great opportunity for you. So
I feel like only people from the U.S. say that.
A lot of the time, I noticed that.
Yeah, and it's not like underpay you. You get paid by the position you are in.
Right.
And whatever, even if they pay like $300, like it's still a bunch of money from wherever we come from, and it makes a difference.
I'll say this, right? The idea that Guillermo is going to be leaving his wife and what's up, Jeff? You want me to bring the shirts back? I know, I gotta order some. I'll let you guys know when you guys can get some merch. But what I wanted to say about Guillermo is I think it's great. It's an opportunity for him to make some more money. And so sticking to this subject here, Guillermo, make sure you talk with your wife and set up the communication, set up the expectations, and really let her know, like, this is how it's going to be. And my guess is that contract is going to be 6 months. So, you're going to be bringing home some decent money.
Yeah. Ooh, and just before I forget, Guillermo, something that worked for us really well to communicate is that we did video letters. So we record ourselves, just talking about our day, just expectations, what we miss, what we want, and stuff like that. And then we uploaded, and whenever either of us got the chance, we saw it. And for me, that was like a little piece, because not all the time I could talk to him. And
I did, it wasn't even like I uploaded it. What I did, this is actually how I got into vlogging. If you guys are, if any of you are, watched my channel like years ago, I started off with vlogging, but I originally started off with vlogging because I couldn't talk to her whenever I wanted. So what I would do is I would hold my phone up and talk to the phone. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So I would hold my phone up and talk to the phone, and I would talk as if I was talking to her, and it made me feel better because I felt like I was expressing some of my feelings. So I'd say things like, "Hey, babe, so here's what I'm doing today, and here's how I feel, and I'm really excited about this, and blah 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 blah." And again, so it just made me feel like I had talked to you that day because I kind of did. I just didn't get to talk with you.
I used to put them and fall asleep to them as well.
And I made it a habit of doing that every day. And so by the time her contract was done, I compiled like 30 of these daily vlogs, which were not very good, but whatever. And I was able to show them to her when she got back. So,
you used to send it to me.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like,
what, like on Messenger or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway, yeah, you can send it whenever, and then they can download it. Let's see, Daily Jeeper. Different ships would be rough. Current girlfriend of 2 years. We have been lucky on the same ship every time with mostly some contracts, even able to transfer. Oh, that's cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, we were on different ships. It gets difficult when you're also in different departments, different positions. Because again, musician, and she was a photographer. I did try to get her on the ship to be a replacement for my duo partner, but that didn't work out because my duo partner had to leave. So very lucky that you guys have been on the same ship, though. Sometimes you can talk to HR and try to get on the same ship, but I don't know. I've never actually done that, so I don't know how that works.
I think you get married. I mean, you have to sign something. I don't know. Correct me if I'm
I forgot what that's called.
I'm wrong, but you have to sign something that you are on ship, the spouse of this guy. What happened?
Let's see. What's Javier saying? What about relationships between the captain, man or woman, and crew? Is that okay? Did you see some of that? That's an interesting question, Javier. And also, Guillermo, you're welcome. So I hope this really helps you out, because
let us know. Now I want to see the baby.
Hit us up on Shiplife TV. Right up here. If you got by the way, when we end this this live stream, I'm sure some of you guys may have some questions if you're watching after the fact. Go check us out on Instagram, Shiplife TV. You can DM me. I get the notifications, and I try to stay pretty active. If you guys email me, I know some of my older videos have my email. I get a lot of emails, and a lot of them actually fall through the cracks. But regardless, just wanted to throw that in there.
And since we're in that subject, for those of you who wrote me on my Facebook message, I'm sorry. I hardly ever check them. I just started checking them until like last weekend, and if you have a question, Instagram is the most likely I would respond. She's
terrible at checking messages in general, but that's why we have the Shiplife TV one, so they're all in the same place. But going back to Javier here, the captain and crew, I think I mean it can definitely be done. I haven't personally seen it. I'm sure there's some like HR thing where they're like, please don't do it. But at the same time, the captain's the captain, and once that ship is on the water, the captain gets to do whatever the heck he wants.
Everything goes.
Yeah, pretty much. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
I've seen captains where they met their current girlfriend on staff and stuff. Yeah, like I don't like all the crews that I went to. They always They always encourage a healthy love and sexual,
relationship. Yeah. No, that is very true.
Yeah.
The on the cruise ships, they really do encourage you to. They kind of do encourage you to go out there and fraternize.
As long as it doesn't affect your work, you can do it.
Right, because it's healthy, and they realize it's a good outlet for you, and it happens all the time. You can go down to medical and get condoms or whatever.
Yeah, they're free.
Yeah, they're free. But yeah, so that's basically our story. And those are some tips. Daily Jeeper says, we did manage to register after 2 years as a couple. After jumping through some hoops. Before that, we just messaged the department heads and made requests for transfer. She's very persistent.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. And there you have it. So you can register your relationship with HR, and you can make requests. I'm not sure if they've ever denied you, but it can happen too.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that's important, is that you and your partner also understand that if you're both working on cruise ships, it's not always going to be convenient. You know, one may be sent over here, another sent over here. What's cool though is I knew a couple in the art department or the art gallery, and the way that one worked was you generally have like an auctioneer and then a gallery manager, and then the rest of them are sales associates kind of thing. But if you are a gallery manager, you can actually have kind of like an assistant that goes with you wherever you
That's
go.
very cool.
And usually the way that works is, you know, if you got a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you are a gallery manager, gallery director, I think is the position. Yeah, you bring them with you.
Yeah, we tried to apply.
No,
well,
we didn't try to apply.
no.
We talked about it though.
But I wanted before I met you, I wanted to change positions. Because I always see them like super nice in suits and stuff. And it's like, I want to be like in suit and stuff.
It's a pretty cool. It's a cool job.
Yeah, it's a job. It's like one of those jobs where in pair goes a long way. You know, like being a musician as well. I met this couple DJ. They were super cool. She was a singer, and I think he was the DJ. So they made like their own little party thingies, and they were bouncing from ship to ship because they were so good. So they were like 1 week here, and their contracts were like 3.
What are they, guest entertainers?
I think so.
Yeah. Oh no, that makes a lot of sense though. Like guest entertainers, they'll be on the ship for like 3 or 4 days.
But they were allowed to go on crew bar though.
Yeah, because guest entertainers, they carry both statuses, so they're basically the ultimate crew member, so they can walk around. They get all the privileges.
They're like the avatar.
Yeah, they're they're the avatar. And do we have any Avatar: Last Airbender fans in the chat?
Ooh.
We just binge watched.
I know.
All of it.
Including
the movie, but.
Yeah, I saw the movie first. Didn't realize how bad it was until I saw the show. Which, yeah.
Let's see what's Jeff is saying, when you left shifts and started living back on land, did you still have the desire to play music? Were you sick of it? Did you need a break? I could see being burned out for a while. So he's wondering if I was burned out when I got back from performing. As soon as you get back, it's weird. So yes and no. Primarily yes. Yeah. After playing every single day, you kind of like don't even want to touch your instrument. You just want to relax.
I feel like it happens with every position though.
Right.
It happened to me with photography. Even to smile, I don't want to smile. I didn't want to put makeup. I don't want to talk to anybody. I was just like, those 2 months, it's like, don't talk to me. I'll see one person at a time.
But but that's the other thing is that you're doing it for like 8 to 12 hours per day. You know, for me, I'm playing every day, and when you're on the ship and performing that often and a lot of the same songs over and over again, it ends up feeling like you're just practicing. So any of you guys who are musicians, and if you go to school for it, like playing for 3 to 4 hours a day, that's regular practice. Yeah. So it's not crazy, but at the same time, when you're in performing mode, that's when it starts to be a little taxing mentally. So when you get home, you're able to just actually not play for 3, 4, 5 days in a row, whatever you want. But I don't know. I think it took me about a month to start getting the itch again. And then I wanted to play. So yeah, I hope that gives you, I hope that answers your question, Jeff. Javier is saying, when people are working in the cruise ship and the relationship is serious, can they ask for a cabin for them? Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the best thing to do.
So Javier is basically asking, if you're in a serious relationship, can you request a cabin to share with another person? So here's what tends to happen, though. Usually you don't go the official route where you end up getting a cabin with somebody. Mm-hmm. What generally happens is you make some type of arrangement with your roommate, and your significant other can come into the cabin for a little while, hang out. Mm-hmm. And sometimes your significant other is friends with your roommate as well, so they can hang out. Yes, the beds are super, super small, but just enough for 2 people.
Yeah.
So that's what happens sometimes. And sometimes there's a voluntary switch.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. Like, it's not legal. I mean,
that's not the official way to do it.
Yeah, that's not. If you get caught, like, you had some sort of talk from the captain or whatever, or the HR.
You'll probably meet with the staff captain about it.
But yeah, I've seen where girl, like, example, I had my own cabin, like small cabin, and he has so I would just switch with his roommate, kind of a thing. So I saw a lot of that.
Daily Jeeper is saying on Royal Caribbean, you have to register before being assigned the same cabin. So you have to put it on the books that you are an official couple. Yeah, which makes a lot of sense.
I think that's pretty standard.
But that also makes sense, because if they're going to do
cabin inspection,
not cabin inspection, but if the company is actually putting opposite sex or whatever 2 people together, and especially if they're opposite sex, like, there has to be a good reason for it. Mm-hmm. So at least on the books they're able to say, yeah, we did this because you guys said that you were a couple. But yeah, going back to what she was saying is that, for example, if I was rooming with my roommate Josh, and one thing I could do is talk to Josh and say, dude, she's got her own cabin. How about you guys switch? So I could be
done that.
Yeah,
no. That was too scary, cat, though.
That wouldn't. Yeah, he wouldn't give up his cabin. So, but that's another way to do it. That's not as common, though, because you're not supposed to do that. You also run the risk of getting in trouble, because in the event of inspections or something like that,
it's more common than you think. It's just like, I'm just saying it, but shh.
Yeah, well, I didn't see it, but if you say so. So, anyway, Javier, I hope that answers your question. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that pretty much sums up what we wanted to talk about as far as relationships go, and we wanted to give you guys some realistic expectations as to what relationships are like, and it's not all terrible, and it's not all sunshine and roses.
Yeah.
So
not black and white either.
Right.
There's always a gray area.
Right.
So you just have to be patient and be open-minded.
It all comes down to communication and expectations. And if you're communicating properly, and you have the right, if you have the right expectations and you're able to communicate what you want of the other person, like, I think you're gonna have a grand old time. I don't know what I'm trying to say anymore.
You need coffee?
Yeah, I need some coffee.
Yeah, he needs coffee.
Oh, Emil. One last question. We're going to take one last question. Emil is saying, do you know if the musical or if the show band plays a new thing every night, or is it a running show every week? Okay. And so we're just going to take this question, and the question is whether or not the show band, production band, sometimes called the orchestra, if they play something new all the time. it depends on what entertainers they have. So, for example, you might have a performer who's performing twice in the same cruise, and they're performing 2 times within the same day. So maybe on like a Tuesday evening, they're going to perform at 5 and 7, and then they're going to perform again on Thursday. So you may play that same show as the band 4 different times. But if it's a busier cruise or if it's a shorter cruise, they may not, have them play twice in that same cruise. So they may bring them on just for like that day and then ship them out. Or, well, sometimes they get to just stay for the rest of the cruise anyway.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna ship it out in the same day.
No. I didn't mean ship them out the same day, but if the next day is a port where they can fly them out,
okay.
then they may just fly them out from there.
Yeah.
So
We should do a video about what guest thinks that happens, like the most common.
Oh. The stupid questions that you hear from guests. Do you guys live here? Edison, what's going on, man? Just stop. Really appreciate your support. We're going to call it. This pretty much wraps up the podcast. But again, thank you guys so much for supporting. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching the show that's dedicated to raising awareness of the opportunity of working on cruise ships and helping new and existing crew have an enjoyable contract. If you have any questions, go on Instagram, Shiplife TV, and shoot some questions and stuff over there. If you have any ideas for episodes, let me know. Edison, I know you're trying to get me to make an episode on the shopkeeper. I haven't forgotten, so I'm just trying to gather some information. But any ideas, I want to provide value to you guys because there's just not enough information out there on this subject. So with that being said, thank you again, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.